Yeah, we find her, the beautiful girl we've been missing. We wanna have her kissing. We find her, now we in love. Say Gosso, the remix.
DMB, 𝐏𝐀𝐑𝐓𝍍𝐄𝐑 remix.
Now if I had to lose you like a bad phone connection, I'd change my game to get a better reception. Sit back, let's start this interaction. Don't fight the feelings, just a chain reaction. Your heart won't give you the wrong instructions. Like my GPS, yes I got the right direction. We gotta merge together like a road intersection. Last stop is gonna be my love and affection. I ain't like the mother dudes, they wanna call you shorty, but I'ma call you a beautiful girl. I took your picture home, my mama saw it, she's a very, very beautiful girl. I wanna put you in my video, cause you're so beautiful. You're a beautiful girl. So when you hear us in your radio, turn up your stereo. It's beautiful girl.
Gotta find a shorty, what's worth of a lady. It's nice but maybe doesn't look like 40. It's taking a little time. I wasn't seeing no signs, any traces of my baby. Who's gonna be my baby? But I thought I'm gonna take my time, but then it took a long fine eye. I saw a shorty passing by. She's got this very pretty smile. He was right at the bus station. I tried to make a conversation, holding her arms, feeling so tough. I felt the sensation. It's been a while that I've been trying to find a beautiful girl. Now I realize I found me a beautiful girl. She's a model, she's so fine. I just wanna take it by. Beautiful girl, smiling eyes are killing it tight. I found me a beautiful girl.
My wish came true when I saw you, girl. God must have blessed me with your beauty, girl. Looking so right from your head to your toe. Shaped like a Coke bottle with a smile of a queen. My queen to be, you my destiny. Got a body of a goddess with your beauty. I'm impressed and I'm never in distress. Come on over and be mine. Been searching for a man and now all the cats keep looking to mine. With a sexy walk and a sexy talk, she must be from a planet called the sexy world. I know I ain't tripping, better yet I'm thinking put a ring on the finger, we look good together. Take your place in my heart with your beauty. I'ma say that I'll never turn away. Who would think I'm in love?
Such the way she smiles at me just really makes me weak. The way she speaks to me just really make me go so weak. Keep staring in her eyebrows, all I kept on saying is wow. Your beauty shines and breeze at night, all I really want in my life. Oh yeah, it's been a while that I've been trying to find a beautiful girl. Fine brown eyes, I found me a beautiful girl. She's my model, she's so fine, I just wanna take it. Beautiful girl, sparkling eyes, killing tight. I found me a beautiful girl. Yeah, beautiful girl, beautiful girl. Yeah. Beautiful girl.
Damn. Money, you seen her? Hot Ice, have you seen her? LP, have you seen her? I'ma go over to 𝐏𝐀𝐓𝐍𝐄𝐑. I know you've probably seen her. He has a lot of beautiful girls with him. 𝐶, it's DMB, baby. Look.
Beautiful.
I look for a while, but I can't seem to find a beautiful girl so I can make her mine. Time after time I've been searching for a while, but every girl I meet never seems worthwhile. What can I do? I pray to God for an answer. I feel pains in my heart like cancer, and when I find her, I'm gonna romance her. Lace several presents and gifts, call me Santa Claus. I make a heartbeat pause. That's my girl, homeboy, not yours. The girl of my dreams, she's more than I ever thought. Show me as the picture, I think I'm getting punked. She's what I really want, so I'ma go get her. Since I'm a go getter, you know I'm gon' get her. And I will give her the world, anything for my beautiful girl. Psych. Ooh,
It's been a while that I've been trying to find a beautiful girl. Fine, brown eyes. I found me a beautiful girl. She's my model, she's so fine. I just wanna take it beautiful girl. Sparkling night, killing time. I found a beautiful girl.
Girl, it's your love that I've been missing. I miss all your hugs, your touching and kissing. Make love on the floor, the couch in the kitchen. One love enough, we done enough.
Hey, what's going on? Welcome back. We made it. Another episode. Hey, D-Love, good to see you. Please, as you're coming in, please hit that like button. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. We have a very important topic to cover today. 34 plus. Finding a partner. Welcome back. Shout out to D-Love. Hello, how you doing? Good to see you. Gorex Corner, we miss you. Welcome back. Good to see you. All right. Chinye is here. Welcome, Chinye. Hello. And we have Film Girl. Welcome back. I haven't seen you in a while, I think. Let's see what else is here. And shout out to everybody else that's watching behind the scenes. Welcome back. Yep. All right. So let's talk about this. Welcome back. We have a few things to cover today. On this particular episode, we're going to talk about, obviously, finding a partner. We're also going to talk about Yola Doce. We're going to talk about anti-seducers. Okay. We're going to talk about American Girl. You know that song? Da ta 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 ta. And what's that song? Who sung that song? American Girl. All right, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about why this guy says he doesn't want American women. We're going to talk about that. It's one random guy like that. We're also going to talk about women and Kerewa. Obìnrin. Like Kini. We're going to talk about that as well. We're going to talk about we're going to talk about a few things, okay? So brace yourself. We're not going to take too long because I do have a dinner that I need to get to. We're not going to take that long, okay? But yeah, welcome back. Film Girl says, I have been commenting a bit on the WhatsApp group. You have? Probably. Film Girl, are you Chioma? What's your name on the WhatsApp group? You don't have to say if you don't want to be doxxed. If you consider that doxing, you don't have to say. Don't worry about it. Yeah, tonight's show is loaded. Absolutely. But we're not going to take that long, like I said. I want to talk about finding a partner, 34 plus. You know, why is it so difficult to find a partner? Once you hit 34, there's something about the age 34. Once you hit 34, what we're hearing is that it becomes extremely hard to find a partner. Now, this is not just for one side of the gender. Film Girl says yes. Okay, that's you. Yes, that's you. Yeah, I do notice that you've been commenting quite a bit. Good to see you. All right. So I do notice that it's been quite hit that like button, share, subscribe, don't be stingy. Let's share this. This is going to be an important session. okay, for everyone, especially on this platform. The struggle is real, okay? If you end up being an average person, once you hit 34, it's not going to be easier. Now, the story is a little bit different for people that have never been married before and people that are divorced. The story is different, okay? In terms of men and women, the story is a little bit different too, but not as different as if you've been divorced and if you are single, never been married before. Okay, so we're going to talk about why it's very, very hard. It gets very hard once you hit 34. Okay, a couple of questions that I wanna answer as well, and also feel free to ask questions if you want around this topic. Okay. Now, quick disclaimer. I've never been officially, I should say, I've never been officially single after 34 before. So I'm speaking with a little bit of a filter, I don't have your experience, but I have experience of life. So there's a good chance that maybe I can help. Okay, but I promise I'm listening. If you feel like it's different. What we're hearing is that the dating scene is rough. Okay. Is that correct? If anybody's in the chat, you know someone, it's yourself. Right? And you feel like dating is very, very hard particularly with an intention to find a life partner. Right? Is that correct? That is very, very hard after 34. Okay. Somebody's here. Somebody's like, it's not that hard. I go on a date all the time. Okay. Then maybe you can teach us something today that other people simply don't know, right? But yes, let's talk about it, Sha. Let's just talk about it. Okay. I have a quick something here. This person says, a few days back, I met this girl who is the senior leader of mine in the faith, which I practice, Buddhism. She just turned 36, and she told me that she has been rejected by n number of guys for different reasons. Some guys said she's fat. Some said she is not having a good permanent job. Some commented about her age, and she gave up on fact that she will ever get married. Right? And after what I can tell you about her is that she's the most joyful person I have ever met throughout the period she was single. So this has nothing to do with if you're a good guy or good girl. We're just talking across the board right now. There's something going on in this time and generation. Well, the first thing is, first of all, back in the days, people didn't used to have to wait until 34. Not have to. People didn't used to wait. Right? And people didn't used to wait until above 30 before they get married. As soon as they're becoming an adult, it's just one of those natural order of things for people to do back in the days. But, the world is different right now. So, it's different. It's just different. So people want to, men never really had this on their heart like that. But women wants to have some kind of career, something going before they get married, right? Before they start thinking about family. Why? Because family is going to tie them down and they may never be able to get to building a career for themselves, feeling like they lost themselves. Men never used to have to worry about this. Men just did what they had to do because they have to take care of a family anyway, right? But men are starting to pay extra detailed attention to this. The more intentional they are getting, the worse it's getting, it seems. Why? That's what we're talking about today. A guy much younger, 32 to 33, proposed to her. And now she's getting married in November. The most beautiful thing about this relation of hers is that she's perfect for him with all our imperfections. So that's a testimony, right? What do we do with that? What should you do with that testimony as an individual? What should you do with that testimony? Or should you say, it's going to happen for me too? Or should you be like, but when we look across the board, it's tough. Gore says, I really don't know. Maybe if I revisit that age. 34. Maybe if you revisit that. Well, it's 34 plus, right? Anybody above 34 plus. It just gets harder and harder, right? Why? Film Girl says there are lots of people in dating scene, but are they what you want? That's another question, right? And that's what we're saying. There's a lot of people available actually that want to engage somebody, right? But they're not hooking up. A lot of them are not hooking up. Weddings are happening, just so you know. People are getting married, but there's also a lot more people than it used to be in the dating scene at whatever age you want to think of, right? But what we're talking about today is that why is it such a struggle? Jinx, shout out to Jinx Vivi. I don't know if it's a she. They said, well, from the experience of some friends, I hear finding someone isn't easy, mostly because you don't just want anyone, but you have boxes to tick. Oh, right, the boxes, right? Now, who am I to judge anybody who have boxes to tick? Boxes of preferences, I guess, right? So before now, people had their preferences too. They did, right? But they weren't exposed to so many options. I think that's one of the reasons. So many options. Swipe, left, right, left, right. Right? So many options. After all, you have so many options. So why should you settle, right? Right? So effectively, the people from the past, from ages of old, they settled. That's why our parents suffered. Our mothers suffered. They suffered in those relationships because they didn't have much options. Well, you have options now. So at what point is the options too much, right? You know, one of the worst things that can happen to a human being is too many options. I don't know if you're aware. One of the worst things that can happen to a human being is having too many options. The best version of growth you're going to experience in life will come from having limited options. Your ability to be decisive, right? AKA what some might consider settling, right? Will be tampered with when you have so many options. But the problem with that is that time is nobody's mate, right? So at some point, even no matter how much you want to tell yourself, like it's going to happen, you're looking at the time and you're like, right? So at some point you're like, okay, maybe it will never happen again. Some people will say that in a very healthy way. They were like, if it happens, it happens. Some people, when they say that, it's deeper than that, right? They're not happy. Depression creeps in, right? God forbid 2020 happens, right? But anyway, D-Love says it's rough, but there are still good, serious people out there. MOP. I think I told you I started seeing someone a couple months ago. That's awesome. That's an awesome testimony. Met his family on Sunday. That's why I missed the show. Hey, you see, that's how they do. Once they meet someone, they will start missing their friendship. They will start devaluing their friendship with other people, and then you will see them anymore. But yeah, D-Love, I'm happy for you. That's an awesome testimony. Yep. So yes, I was eyeing you seriously and wondering because I saw your new handle. Oh, I don't know what that is. Now love carry I will. That's what she's saying now. Angela, that's you. Okay, Angela, I see you. That's what you're saying. All right, good. So again, today we're talking about why is it such a struggle finding a partner above 34. That's what we're talking about. Why is it so difficult? What are the reasons why it's so difficult? And I want to make sure that we that we tackle as many of the reasons as possible, if possible today. If not, then we'll continue the conversation some other time. But the reality is that the older you get, the harder it gets. I don't know if you're aware. Write that down. The older you get on a general scale, the harder it gets. The older, not because something is wrong with you, okay? Again, remember, it's true for majority of the people. So it's not just about you. It's nothing wrong with you, okay? And it's very important that you realize that it's not because something is wrong with you, okay? It's not because something is wrong with you. It's very important that you realize that if you start to internalize that it must be something wrong with me because of my age, it's still nothing but a number. But time is nobody's mate, right? That's what we're talking about. Okay. I think it's easier to find people if you can find a space where your spec exists in excess. So maybe we can change the title to "It is so hard to find a space where your spec exists in excess." And why are they all over the place in excess, right? They should, if they are valuable, they should be getting scooped up by other people, right? But maybe there are just that many of them, right? Why? Those are some of the issues right there, those are some of the issues. But if you settle because time is out, it may not end well. Yes. And it's very important that we talk about that settling thing. You notice I've repeated it a few times, right? Yeah. Settle is different from settle. There is settle because I found it. There is settle down like 𝐏𝐀𝐑𝐓𝐍𝐄𝐑 because what else is there? Like I found a person, right? And there is settling for less. Those are two different conversations. Settling down and settling for less are two different things, right? I don't think you should ever settle for less because everybody involved in that will end up in McDonald's. Okay? They will end up woto inside of McDonald's.
You will end up in McDonald's.
So I don't think it's a good idea to ever settle for less, regardless of what the manosphere or the feminists are regurgitating at themselves or in their echo chamber. I don't think it's wise to settle for less. You will resent yourself, aka you might end up resenting the person you're with. You might not be able to explain what is going on, but it won't be a good experience. But settling down, everyone will settle down. Now, in terms of settling for less, everyone will settle at some point, and there's somebody looking at like, yeah, she settled for less. But they don't know what they don't know. It's probably because you've seen some kind of value that they can't see. They just can't see the value that you see. So in their eyes, you settled for less. They're haters, basically, right? Because they don't know what they don't know, but they're ready to hate on you because to them it looks like you settled for less. That exists as well. And sometimes people can see what you don't see. They can see that you settled for less, that you deserve better. That exists as well. So it takes assessment to know which one is which one, right? So let's see. Abba Brola, that's not true. I can never fashi your side. Okay, if you say so. But I'm happy regardless. Very true, Ola, especially when you're dating as a divorce with kids on your 40s. I don't think you have it as hard. I may be wrong. I don't think you have it as hard as people that are single and never been married. I think people that are single that have never been married, I think they might have it harder. Pause. But I could be wrong, okay? But at least on this one factor, they have it harder. Because again, if you've ever been married before, there's a good chance you'll marry again. There's a good chance somebody will find the same value, even better value in you that the previous person saw in the first place. There's a good chance that somebody else will still see that and they will want to take you on. And that's why you see a lot of people that have been remarried multiple times because, the value is there, at least from the surface standpoint. That value is there and there's somebody that can always see it. You just have to work on presentation, work on, everything else, but somebody will see it again, right? But if somebody is single, 34 plus, they've never been married, there's a reason, and that reason is not always clear why, right? The reason we tend to gravitate towards is that it's God's time is the best, and that's not wrong. It's just that that's a different context altogether. We're trying to assess things. We're trying to break it down. We're trying to, why, why? All that time, 14 years plus, right? 15 years. And no one can see something, right? And people are getting married, So there's that factor. There's also the factor of you're seeing it like that too. It's actually worse when you see it that way. It's actually better if you don't see it that way. It's better when you say, oh, it's just not time yet. Like, it's all about the mindset, right? It's just not time. It's not time. And somebody can see that as confidence, and eventually it's just a matter of time. But for the most part, because we live in a society, we're social beings, we're paying attention to what other people are doing, right? We're internalizing how things are supposed to, or what is supposed to be. Even when we say, well, who cares about what is supposed to be? Even when you say that, oftentimes it's still something that's crawling through your mind, that's messing with your mind. Why me? Why not me? Why am I not getting married? Why am I being in multiple people's train all the time? I'm tired. I don't want to be in anybody's wedding train much longer, right? So all of this becomes this big old question that keeps lingering in your mind, even when you want to exercise faith. Say, no, my time is coming. My time is coming. So it's a very difficult thing, So, but if you've been married before, you kind of know at the back of your mind that I've done it before. I know why I left the situation. I know why the other situation ended. At least I have an idea, right? And there's a part of you that say, well, it's meant to happen again. There's a part of you that's a little nonchalant about it. Like, especially if you have children, it's like, if it happens again, it happens again. Been there, done that. But there's this big question for people that it's never happened to before, right? And that's what we're talking about today. That big question. Okay. Now, if you're a divorcee, there's things that you need to learn, right? Obviously, so that you don't end up being one of the 60% with second marriage divorces and third marriages 75% divorce. It's the rate of divorce increases with the number of time you've been married. Yeah, see, let's see. You were waiting for that, Abby. Yep. See a lot today. Natu, how far Natu? See a lot. Now what for YouTube? But we did here. We'll go keep giving them content, The social construct in Africa, for example, has made harder for older people to date. Yes, there's this other aspect of, how do they say? They sold this narrative to us that older people are washed out and have nothing to offer. Well, is it a sold narrative to you, or you sold the narrative to yourself? Because again, who is they? Human beings like us? Like we, right? Who is the society? We did this. We perpetuate it. We continue to sell it to other people. Okay, but there's also the other aspect of, we just know that time expires. That's just life, right? Everything in life gets old. Everything. Every human being. You and I. Everything we believe in. All ideologies. Everything gets old. Right? Everything gets old. So, I'm not sure if that social construct is too far from nature, particularly. As in, like, literally, human beings will expire too. These are just a reality. Now, there's a role that faith plays in all of this. Like, even though everything expires, between the time that it was created and the time it was expired, there's an experience. There's a stretched out experience. And what you and I were trying to do is make the most out of it. We're trying to make the best out of it. I'll tell you something that doesn't expire. Relationships. How you make people feel. Legacy. They don't expire. The people in the relationship expire. But the legacies, the impact we leave on other people what we're remembered for, memories, they tend not to aspire. Histories. Some of them, but to a large extent, there's documentation of how you moved while you're here, right? And that expire much, much later, maybe years up after you're long gone, right? But we're talking about the experience as you see it, right? There's limited time, but your mindset is very important, right? You don't want to see it as limited time, but you want to be aware that I want to learn everything. I want to learn everything I can learn about how to make the most out of every moment, married or not, right? You want to definitely look at things that way. And by doing that, by having some self-awareness, having emotional intelligence, you create better experience for yourself, and you're able to also impact that in other people. And that's your best chances of having a good life experience, right? But just in case there's something you can learn to make the experience even better, 34 plus, maybe you will like your partner. Maybe you just want to, maybe there's something that I don't know that I can learn right now to make things a little bit better, right? All right, so again, let's talk about why 34 plus are struggling with finding partners. Once you know, it becomes awareness. Awareness is key in everything we say. Everything we say here is easier said than done, but awareness is half the battle won, right? So it is what it is, right? Film guy says, what I mean is if a 40 years old guy bring home a 40 years old woman, this traditional unexposed African mom will ask why he brought home an old woman. She will say, didn't you see someone younger? So it depends on this presentation, right? It depends. You're right. For the most part, the old lame traditional woman will probably ask that question, but they have some real reasons why they're asking those questions, especially if he's never been married before, right? Traditionally speaking, most people are still attached to the idea that you should have your own offsprings that came from you biologically, right? Most people still feel that way. The older they are, the more they feel that way, right? I don't feel that way personally. I've never been attached to the idea that they must be my biological children, okay? Particularly because I've also have close people being, messed with because they couldn't have biological children. So I've always had this thing at the back of my mind, like I'm not attached to that. If I have children, I have children. If I don't, I will adopt. If it's that deep for me, I will adopt. I have no problems doing that, and I would encourage anybody to do that. But most people are not as open-minded as I am when it comes to things like that. So you can imagine a mother will say, why won't you find somebody that's probably more fertile? And it's a fact of life that the younger you are, man or woman, the better the chances that you will create healthier babies. That's just real life, right? That's just something we all know, right? So it's there are real reasons for that. Our social constructs are also, they didn't fall out of the skies. They were born from nature. A lot of it were born from nature. A lot of it is social, yes, how we live and all this kind of stuff, mental, emotional, right? But a lot of it came from survival, primitive instincts, stuff that's that's so deeply rooted in how we survive, right? So it makes sense. But now how he presents that 40-year-old woman can make all the difference, right? If he's the kind of guy that moves in a way that is asking for permission, he would definitely encounter that. That's just reality, right? So again, we're still talking about why it's so hard but good point. That is a good reason why someone will get a pushback. That right there is a good reason why somebody will get a pushback. Okay. Society pushes back at the older you get. No, why mess with that? But then again, that's subjected to, are you selling them the idea of being with this person, or you're asking for permission, right? So if you're not sure of yourself, yes, they will attempt to help you, especially men, gentlemen. If you're not sure of yourself, your mother will try to help you. That's true most of the time. She could be called an old cargo. Well, 40 years old also 40 years ago were different from the way they carry themselves these days, this time and age, right? We have 55-year-old women like Toni Braxton looking the way she does. Ola, that's not fair. That's a celebrity. Like, no, I'm telling you across the board, people they take care of themselves better, even when they're older these days. So again, presentation is everything. And that doesn't mean they're not going to have something to say the older. I'm just saying, it's probably stuff you're not supposed to take that serious. Again, if you're getting with a 40-year-old woman and you're a 40-year-old man, you should kind of have some expectations too. And the expectation should be like, they're going to be like, why not get a younger person? You should have answers for that. Like, that's the person I like. What about children? We'll cross that road when we get there. Depends on how you answer that, if you're asking for permission, mommy, what do you think? She will tell you that go and find somebody younger. And you deserve that answer. Okay? Because clearly you don't know any better. Okay? But no, I don't like the idea of actively trying to blame the in-laws for things you can't change. There's no empowerment in that. If you can't change something and you put all your focus on it, there's no power in that. And you can still be right, but there's no power in it, okay? You're wasting your energy on something you can't change. Very, very important, okay? That is why especially people from the East don't like adopting boys. Yeah, because the family will say something. Maybe if I ask you for permission, but I should have expectation that yes, most people from a traditional standpoint will push against that. But a person who is getting with a 40-year-old person knows why they're getting with them. They've seen some kind of value in that person. And they've thought about it too. Probably like, we'll adopt if we want children. Right? They've thought about it. So if they've thought about it, they should also think about if somebody asks you a very valid question, why not find somebody younger? You should have some answers for that too. I don't want somebody younger. Who is that person? I like this person. This person. Not 40-year-old people. This particular 40 years old is who I like, right? It's just, we can't control that, right? What people say. So, and again, maybe that's another reason. Maybe that becomes another reason why people who are 40 years old, they don't want to bring somebody. But then if you're an average 40-year-old man and you want somebody who is 22, 23, 24, 25 years old, a lady who is that young, you're not free from people saying what they want to say too. Naysayers will say, why are you getting with somebody that young? So for everywhere you look, somebody has something to say. There's no getting away from that, right? Or if you're a 40-year-old woman or you get with, most of you are not open to getting with a 27-year-old man, a grown man, right? Most of you are not open to that, right? So let's be clear. Hey, baby. So I agree, and I've heard different people say that to me, but what if you don't find other cultures attractive in terms, then attraction is key. You just don't, right? If you don't find other culture attractive, there's a real reason for that too. There's nothing wrong with how you feel. Most people are attracted to people within their jurisdiction, wherever that is. Okay? You're not abnormal. It's pretty normal to want to be more attracted to people that you're familiar with in terms of culture, religion, age bracket. You're pretty normal. Okay. But again, the point of this conversation is to be aware of these things and to understand that maybe that will limit your pool a little bit, right? Maybe that will limit the available people to you, right? Especially if you're living overseas in the Obodo, right? If you were living in, let's say, for example, you're Nigerian and you live in Nigeria, you live with, let's say you're an Igbo person, right? You will see a lot of Igbo people around you. You have options, essentially, right? But when you live in the obodo, the pool reduces, right? It is what it is. So you need to be aware of that. The awareness is key because then you'll see life a little bit differently, right? People are not playing no games these days. I know I'm not. Like it. My people need to stop that rubbish. I know some of my people who adopted male children because of life presented. Yeah, they're not gonna stop. I think it's a primal behavior. I think most people just want their offspring. They want something. They want a sense. It's a sense of ownership, right? Not ownership because you don't own human beings. We don't own our children. I don't know if you're aware, but it's a sense of ownership, right? So most people, it's a primal thing, you know. So it becomes unrealistic to ask people to change that. Some of us are more open-minded than others. Those of us that are open-minded, it might be too slow for you to see, but we're actually influencing other people to be more open-minded as well, right? Film Girl says, I have hung out with men from other races and it was exhausting for me to explain everything to them. I understand. Yeah, I feel your pain on that. The jokes don't flow. Even for my children, like, there's some jokes I need to tell in Yoruba. It's just not, which is why I'm dragging them through their Yoruba class every weekend right now. They've been on it for over a year and I have plans to keep them on it. And it's tough when they're already teenagers before you plug them in on this, but but that's just one reason. And the other reason is, again, sense of ownership, a sense of belonging, right? It's just part of who we are as people, right? The sense a normal person wants to be a part of their culture. It's a pretty normal behavior to want to be a part of a culture of people, right? And if you don't want to be a part of a culture, let's say you're the anomaly, right? And you don't believe in culture, you think below some kind of culture is trash, you're always shaming your own culture. I think that's okay. It's a personality type of some sort, but I would definitely say you become lame if you're not aware that you're not normal. Okay? You become lame, you come off as lame, you come off as destructive because people like culture and you're making enemies for no reason. Right? So it makes sense that a person wants to find a life partner in their culture, someone they can banter jokes back and forth. Even from a Yoruba to Igbo person, if you get together, there are certain types of jokes that can still crack. Maybe in Pidgin, maybe half Pidgin, half American, that you can still get the joke that when across the ponds, it's not the same thing. Right? These are some of the reasons why it gets harder because, again, the older you get, you start paying attention to things like this. So imagine if you were 22 years old and you met another 22 years old, maybe 19, 20, 21, and you met in college, they're a different culture. You worry less about all these extra details. You're just in love, right? So that is a factor that makes it super easier, right? To find a partner. You might end up together for a lifetime, right? But when you're 34, there's one factor like that and multiply that by 2,000 other factors. Some of them are red flags. Some of them are just concerns like, I'm not sure. And now, the other side of I'm comfortable being single, you're getting comfortable being a single person, It gets harder and harder because knowledge is a double-edged sword. Knowledge is a beautiful thing. To know is a beautiful thing, right? But like everything else in life, it's a double-edged sword. But when you are aware that what I know is not necessarily always beneficial that I know, then maybe you can apply some humility in how you approach this type of things and everything else in life. You just apply humility. You become more interested in other people's perspectives as opposed to just the way you see things, right? I don't think most 27-year-old men are open to 40-year-old men either. That's true, particularly the point I'm making. So I said it the opposite direction, right? It's the same thing, right? So again, for the same reasons, because most people want people that they can kind of relate with, right? So people might go as far as maybe 5 years age gap. Once it's reaching 7 years, it's becoming a stretch. 10 years is like it's still doable. Above 10 years, it's like I'm marrying my father or I'm getting with my mother. And even though on the surface, that's not really a big deal, but we're not just on the surface beings. We're human beings, right? Our belief system is deeply rooted in a lot of stuff. If somebody reacts to one little crisis or conflict in some kind of way, you might start to say, "You're not my father." Even with people that are of the same age, they say it to themselves. They say, "You're not my father. You're not my mother. Why are you acting like my mother?" Right? And these things become serious issues, right? It becomes massive friction, right? So again, if people have their reservations when there's a big age gap, you need to be aware at least that there's a reason for it. Not just somebody selling us ideas. There's a real reason. Maybe it's misplaced now. Maybe it's been addressed. At least you need to know how to address it, right? So, but if a woman is 30 and single, she should definitely be open to a 27-year-old man. That's a 3 years gap. Uni. That's a 3 years gap, right? The only time that your formula, which I agree with, will not work is if you're 20 and you're getting with a 17. People will look at you like, "Why are you with that girl? She's too young," right? Or you're 19, you're getting with a 15. Like, no, leave her alone, right? But in every other age gap of life, I think it's generally accepted that 3 years is an okay gap, right? They have never experienced life from my point of view. The way I see America is also different from how they see America. I value good companionship, so the gist has to flow. Every one of you should value companionship. We call it friendship here. It's necessary. When everything else fails, you'll have to fall back on the companionship and the friendship. If you don't have it, the fact that you don't have it will become a weapon. Have you ever been with a person that you don't speak the same language and they kind of expect you that you must speak English every time that they are present? To me, that's a massive punishment. To them, it's just courtesy. I agree that it is courtesy, but I also agree that it is not fair to me because I want to speak Pidgin and Yoruba when my people come around. I also would like the ideal or the idea that you kind of understand. Like you feel, I hope you feel safe enough that you understand, like, don't take that away from me. Why would you want to try to take... I don't like it. It's just so rude. You don't speak any other language and I'm in the room. Like, damn. Wow. For a lifetime, you're going to take that away from me. Okay, you didn't take it away from me. I'm not being nice too, right? You see, it's a friction. Who is right? Who is wrong? You see, this one is problematic already. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, so companionship is definitely key. I agree 100%. My kids also taking Igbo classes, but I've been speaking Igbo to them since birth. Yeah, I'm terrible at it. We are terrible at it. My wife and I, there is no one sentence we speak in full Yoruba without some kind of English in it. By the time we're speaking our third sentence in Yoruba, there's an English sentence entering it. It doesn't help matters. Okay. I don't think I've heard of Yoruba Igbo class here. You guys are lucky. They're not here. It's virtual over Google Meets. The person teaching them is in Nigeria. They're not here. And by the way, there are YouTube channels for that as well, where you can learn Yoruba if you're patient. But these kids are not that patient, so they need a teacher. I have found that the cultural differences makes things more fun, but I get what you're saying. I understand completely. A friend of mine will will only date Yoruba speaking people. Yeah, most people will. But some of us are open-minded. I believe if I was a certain age, I was looking for partners, I would deliberately decide to be open-minded. It just makes sense. The world is becoming it's a global village, right? Why not? You know, the older you get, you should become more open-minded. It's just awareness. It's the wisdom you need to attract, not the other way around. See, the older you get, the more closed-minded people become. So today, if you walk away with anything from this at all, the older you get, be intentional about being open-minded. Because when you become open-minded, it doesn't mean by force you're saying I'm open to marriage. It's just say you're open-minded. Maybe you will detect some values that you didn't realize, that you've never been open enough to even go through that, to see that, oh wow, this is interesting, right? You need to become more interested in other perspectives, other dimensions, other cultures, right? Because again, you're a man or a woman of a certain age, right? Your horizons should be expanding. So why would you be closing it? Well, I know why you're closing it, because naturally human beings do that. We become more close-minded the older we get. But again, this is why majority of human beings are now rich, because they become close-minded. They become routine, predictable, one lane. Don't tell me. And we all do it in many aspects of our life. So now in a case where you will want better results, keep an open mind. It doesn't mean when you keep an open mind, you might just find that the people you keep an open mind to you, a complete different, a person from the other end of the world will be the person to connect you back with another Yoruba person. Do you ever think about it that way? Right? So being open-minded is definitely key in all of this. The older people get, if they hit 34, they become close-minded. They will start to repeat, they will start telling themselves talking point that sounds like faith on the surface. God's timing is the best, but in actuality, they're just close-minded. Okay? They're just close-minded. And to be able to convince them on that is going to take a conversation where you have to be extremely patient with them, and then unpeel it and peel the layers, and unpack everything, and that's it. You see, if you're open-minded, you'll get to meet people, right? And that might end up connecting you back to exactly what you're looking for. But when you're close-minded, you don't give anything a chance, right? And you would justify it because, after all, you're comfortable. You have been doing well by yourself. Why not just be by myself, right? And I would just call it is God's time is the best. I would just we're just waiting on God's time. And then we would just, that whole close-minded thing, we just go under the rug and it's still there. Right? So being open-minded is something that people that get older, that they lack in general. Something you should be aware of. My friend's own was about 25 years difference. Yeah, legally, even morally, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just most people don't want that. Purely preferences. Most people don't want that. They don't want to do the 25 years difference. The only time people tend to be more open to that idea is they're more open to that idea when money is involved, right? And men become a little bit more open to that idea too when they don't engage proper counsel. They start to think it's going to be easy. When they have delusion about the nature of a woman, they think the younger you get is going to get better. They're actually going to get dragged more by younger people. I don't know why they think that, unless it's money involved. Again, she's subscribing to your life because of the money. So if you have problems, you continue to question if she's truly there for you or the money, right? If you continue to have money, Shadi Okoya style, that's her name, right? Shadi Okoya style, you'll be fine, But it's called Ingligbo. What do we call it for Yoruba? Ingli Yoruba. Ingligbo. These are my struggles. These are my wife and myself struggle in terms of, because we're supposed to practice with them too as they're teaching them. It's a struggle. I'm being honest with you. Angela says, I speak Swahili with my people and hubby is very comfortable with it. Your husband is open-minded. Listen, when you're open-minded, life just gets a lot more easier. When you are close-minded, life gets a little bit harder. It gets extremely worse if you're with a person. If you're the person that's close-minded, it's a big struggle when you're with a person that's close-minded, right? Because they're always coming from a standpoint of morals. It's just not right. It's just rude. Why are you speaking for so long? They don't feel secure. They will never admit that they don't feel secure. They will just call it you're being rude. To a large extent, it could be so. You should also be considerate, but I think it's better to just allow people to be themselves. If you know you're going to cross that line of being with somebody on the other culture, give them the freedom to speak their language, because you should be understanding that there's a sweetness that comes with speaking your own dialect, right? And you shouldn't be trying to compete with that in any ramification, right? Because you really can't compete with that. And the more you give them the freedom to express themselves in that way when their people is around, the more you will enjoy your partner when they do come back around to you. What's your husband's tribe? You're asking somebody, right? I even thought you were Nigerian self. No, I think Angela is somewhere from East Africa. She will tell us in a second, I'm sure. Ola, why do we think we crave approval of people in our social hemisphere? We get some sense of pride from knowing you marry someone that is a catch in the books of those you socialize with. We do, but I don't think that's why you got with the person. Okay? I don't. If that's the reason why you get with somebody, that's a terrible reason to marry somebody just because everybody will accept them. That's terrible, because life will test all of that and it will end up in poto. You need a deeper reason to get with somebody as for a life partner. You need a deeper reason than a sense of pride knowing you marry someone that is a catch. I think that's the icing on the cake. There are deeper reasons why you married somebody, not just because you think they're a catch. I would hate that the only reason why I married my wife is because she seems like a catch to many people in their books. Like that, for me, that won't last. Yeah, that won't last for me personally. And I think anybody should avoid thinking that way. Oh, this is going to be a catch. Like all of that is going to expire. Whatever that feeling is, you feel like other people will see this person, a good handbag. They'll see the husband, the bearded husband with me. Everybody will just envy. All of that would end up in the mud less than a year into it. The real you will come out. The real person will come out, and you will hate, you will resent all of that. You ever heard people say, everybody thinks it's a saint? Everybody thinks it's a saint. What do you mean? They do still think he's a saint. Are you telling me you're having a different experience because you live with him? Oh, is that why you got with him? Because you thought it was a saint? Yeah. So I hope that answers your question. I don't think most people. I think people. I want to make sure I answer your question properly. Yeah, I don't know. If someone craves that, they need coaching, because that's not gonna last. I'm guessing there are people like that they're looking for a wife that they will look like a good catch. That's terrible. Those are the terrible preferences to look for when you're looking for a partner, life partner. If your life partner happens to be somebody that somebody envy and the world admires and stuff like that, that's just the icing on the cake. That's cool, that's cute, that's sweet, but that shouldn't be what you're getting from that union. For where I'm Kenya, yes, I'm Kenya girl, born and bred, but Pidgin and Yoruba are sunk into this Kenya girl small. He's Shakiri, worry boy. Okay, that's lovely, love it. Yep. Oh snap! With the worry boy, you have no choice to understand Pidgin. Yes, so and that Pidgin is different from the rest of us Pidgin, especially my Pidgin. Yes. Hey, Blessed, good to see you, Blessed. So here's what I tell you, okay, with regards to why it gets harder to find a partner. I think the older you get, you become more close-minded. I've said it, right? You become more close-minded. It's not that something is wrong with you. It's a natural thing. So you have to be a little bit extra intentional about being open-minded. What does that mean? Just open to meeting people. Just be open. Open to having a conversation with anyone. Be open to the idea that maybe you don't know anything. let me tell you something. When you hit 40, 45, 50, you will be that anyway. Well, some people, not everybody, right? Some people are just talking the way they think. But it's a terrible place to be because it creates terrible results, right? Because you're missing out when you're close-minded. Not only are you close-minded, most people around you can tell that you're close-minded. They're not even open to, because they don't want your mouth. They don't want to deal with the fact that they will get instant rebuttal when they offer something else, right? They don't. So basically, they are also withholding opportunities away from you because they can tell that you're not open-minded. Now, again, it's not just you. The older we get, the more it is, right? And we do bring this into the realm of finding a partner, right? There are people right now, they would like to link you up with somebody, but they're prejudging that you're going to turn it down, right? As opposed to a conversation, after 2 or 3 sentences, you know if you want to take it further. But it's like, let's stay in touch. Now, not my cup of tea, but you're open-minded. You're open to getting to know people. Now, obviously, you want to manage your resources. Gentlemen, don't come back to me and say just be open-minded and you're spending $200 per plate on dinner every other day of the week. If you come back to me, you'll collect it, okay? Because it's your responsibility to learn how to manage resources. That's your responsibility, okay? If you have limited resources, managing it, how you go on a date, how you screen people so they don't waste your time. Screening people doesn't mean you screen them for life. It doesn't mean you block them for life. People that ghost people, right? It just means they're aware that you're not interested. Just because you're not interested now doesn't mean you're not going to be interested 2 years from now. Doesn't mean you're not going to be interested in somebody that was linked to you through them, right? But these are the reasons why people 34 plus and older struggle. They become more close-minded. You can translate this to anything else, any other reasons you want to see, okay? It's a level of pride that just takes them on because, some of it is I don't want people to think I'm not okay being me, right? But that should never be a factor. Okay, we already don't think you're not okay. We already don't think you're not okay. We don't think that. We think you're perfectly fine, beautiful. That's why we love being around you. We love the idea. I would love the idea. I've connected a few people randomly, not intentionally, because I through events and stuff, they met each other. I'm happy to know that I'm a part of their story, right? But I'm telling you, from my experience, older men especially, they have this arrogance about them, and I think a lot of it has to do with they're not really in tune with the times that it's getting worse. So about 10 years ago, if you're 40 not married, it's not a big deal as a man, okay? It's not really a big deal. Now it's still not a big deal, but it is a big deal if we are seeing it happening over and over. It's more and more people, right? It's something to pay attention to. Being a big deal doesn't mean it's not shaming. It's like, pay attention to that. If that's not what you want, you got to pay attention to that, right? But for men, they tend to be very, very close-minded because society has sold them the idea that a man can marry anytime, right? That is still true, okay? It's still true. Anyone, including women, can marry at any time. It can happen at any time, right? But if you have the option of, oh no, I can change some things around and I can attract a life partner in shorter time as opposed to a longer time, which is still anytime. Any one of the two is anytime, either in the next 2 months or 20 years from now. But they are both anytime. Why wouldn't you want to choose the anytime that's as soon as possible? Because of all the different benefits, including the mental benefit that comes for you, because clearly that's what you want, right? Why wouldn't you want that? So again, if I don't want to give you any one size fits all, because there's no such thing in reality, right? But there's this one thing that's one size fits all for all of us. Okay? There's this one thing. The more open-minded you are, the more opportunities come to you. Okay? And you don't have to exercise every opportunity. Okay? Now, with that being said, we're talking quality opportunities. Now, yes, you do have access to the internet. You can go and sign up on, what is it, Tinder, Bumble, right? Any of those platforms, right? And you can swipe 200 times. The more options you have in that direction, the more confused you get. Okay? The more confused you get. So there's nothing wrong with using those platforms, but you have to have a good system in place to screen people, so you don't waste time, because time is actually a bigger resource than money itself. All right. I think people endure more in a relationship when they think they married a catch, because they feel it's hard to find another one. No, it's not the catch. It's this part. Let me show you the part. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's not the catch. Maybe it's a catch for them, but not the catch for the society or everybody else, right? It's because of what, I think it was you that said it earlier. It's because of the friendship, the companionship. When you like a person, right, you let them get away with more, right? I think it was you that said that, companionship, right? When you like a person, it's only natural that you let them slide, a lot more than the person you don't like, right? It only makes sense. Very, very important to pay attention to. I like my wife, right? Doesn't mean I'm always in love, right? Like, oh baby, come here, let me kiss you. It doesn't mean that, okay? It doesn't mean that, but I like her. Ultimately, 100% of the time, I'll let her slide, even when she's what's the word I'm looking for? Even when she's doing things that I don't like, right? I ultimately like her, right? So I'll let her slide, right? She's my friend and lover, my homie, right? My homie, my friend, my lover, right? Companionship, right? Yes. Not because she's a catch to 200 strangers that I don't know. No, that's definitely, but I think I have an idea of what you're saying. I'll just say, yeah, don't do that, because that may end up being what you resent later on. Worry Pigeon is very sweet. Sounds like they are singing it. Mr. Jollof, is that his name? Mr. Jollof or Jollof Boy or something like that. That guy, right? When he speaks Pigeon. I like it, but he loses me like that, because there's only so much that I understand. Let's see. I think the older you become more self-aware and know what you want compared to 21 years old. So like everything else in life, it's like a bell curve, right? Everything, you get to a point and then it hits a peak and then it starts to decline in terms of the outputs you're looking for, right? When you're 25, 27 compared to 21, you're absolutely correct. And you get to a point that hits a peak and everything is creating bad results for you, right? Not because knowledge is bad. It's because you know so much. Some things you will naturally let slide, you can't let slide because you can't unknow what you don't know, except if you apply some self-awareness, some humility, and say, you know what, it's because I know too much. Let me be open-minded and get to know people a little bit more, right? Or see what they do in a different light, right? Some things when you're 27, 28, it's okay to judge because you got time, right? When you're 34, you yourself will start telling yourself you don't have time, regardless of what comes out of your mouth. Your brain, your mind will start telling you start having doubts, right? If in fact you would have loved to have been married at that time, you start having doubts. Doubt is much more powerful than what your mouth is saying. Those doubts, the emotional effect on you is much more powerful. It will reflect, it will show up in your confidence, it will tamper with your confidence level, right? So it hits a peak and then it starts to decline in terms of the output you're looking for, right? So this is why even in the corporate world, when people hire people, they hire people with fresh mind and stuff because they are aware that I can't be close-minded. I need to be open to other people's ideas, right? In every aspect of corporate world, you see that being practiced, right? Yeah. Well, the more they know, it's supposed to be better, but they're also aware that no, we need fresh perspectives. We need to know how they're thinking in terms of the pop culture, in terms of, because these are the people we're trying to serve, right? So everything in life gets old, including the idea of getting old or the positives of getting old. We need to be aware that there's limitations to it, right? Also, a lot of women will pause when they find a woman who is 40 and has never been married. Yes, the society in general will see that as a red flag, just on the surface. Obviously, when you dig deeper, you ask further question, it might just be what we see happening today. The truth is that more and more men are waiting until 35 before they say, you know what, let me look for a wife right now. And then they wait until 35 and then try to snap their finger like a wife is going to drop out of the skies, but they know too much. So majority of what they see, a little assertion in your tone will become red flag for them. And then they will linger and linger and linger. When you linger 3 times, what is that? 5 years gone. Just like that. Can I judge them for lingering and being careful? Some of them will say, no, this is a lifetime decision. You have to be very, very careful. What does being very, very careful translate to in real life? You think that won't be your mate? That's consuming time, right? It's not just, I've got to be very careful and then time will stop for you. No, it doesn't, right? Just something to pay attention to. Ultimately, I do believe that God's time is the best, but that's a different conversation. I'm talking about things you should pay attention to because we're seeing it everywhere. A lot of men are 39, 40, 44, not married, never been married before. And they're still telling themselves like, I can marry at any time. Well, if that's the case, why would you wait longer? If especially you want to be married and you know that there are benefits to be married. If you can marry at any time, why would you decide to wait longer? Is it because you don't decide that? Is it because you actually can't marry anytime? Right? There's something you don't know that you need to learn, right? So we need to start paying attention to beyond talking points, right? That's true, but for younger women, older women, today's Monday, right? Yeah, I see. That's true for younger women. Older women would find 40 plus men attractive. Yes. And here's the issue with this, right? Older women will find 40 plus men attractive. Let me think about that. Yes, but what about the opposite of that? Do older men find, on a general scale, I want to know your thoughts about this. Do they find 40 plus women attractive? Right? Let me see what this is. Film gods, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Let me highlight that really quickly. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat. I appreciate you. Let's see here. I have to play you a song. Yeah. Okay. So thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. All right, so like we were saying, let's back to the conversation really quickly. We'll be back here tomorrow to continue the rest of the story. Just so you know, we'll be back here tomorrow to continue the rest of the story. Like I said, I had to go to dinner, so I think it's probably better to keep this a strong master class. Maybe one more story before we end, right? Jinx Angela says, my friend was telling me today of a guy who's making moves on her. 48 years, never marries, no kids, but then he's moving funny. So red flags are glaring. Oh, listen, everything else being equal across the board, if you're 40 plus, never been married, not divorced. Divorce is not a red flag. It's pretty normal. It's normal at this point that somebody is a divorcee, okay? But obviously they clearly don't have any problem attracting a person. But men in general, especially, never been married, 40 plus, right? That is a red flag. There's something to that should be. You should go through coaching. Don't get with somebody that's 40 plus and above and they don't sign up for coaching. Don't do it. Okay? They need to sign up for coaching. There's a real reason. There's a real reason. Yes, red flag. Red flag doesn't mean they're a criminal or anything like that. Just something that can tamper with the health of a relationship, and especially when it's coming from a very innocent place, when it's coming from I'm a good guy standpoint, and they're just incompetent. There's a reason, right? And then also, if they're 40 plus divorcees, if you gotta listen out for certain rhetorics, because if they're pointing fingers, if all they do want to talk bad about their ex, that's a red flag. I don't care if they're right. That's a red flag. Something to pay attention to as well. Okay, so that's a good point, Angela. It makes sense that a 48-year-old man never been married will have a lot of red flag that has nothing to do with if he's a good or bad guy. That's just not relevant. I'm sorry. Okay. They may find him attractive, but I still think they would question why the man has never been married. Everyone will question it. Well, obviously I just questioned it. It's a question that needs to be answered, and we need proper answers for that. And it can be questions that are closed-ended. It can be yes or no questions. It needs to be, are you willing to be patient to listen to a little bit longer to some stories and see if it makes sense? Most likely, before you listen to 2 stories, you probably will find out that, okay, this is why. There are real reasons, okay? Let me give you an example. If a cool Anambra girl manages to find a modern cool Anambra guy, she will work extra hard to keep him. Anambra girls work taller when they marry Anambra. Yeah, I still disagree. I think everything you like about most people is what you end up resenting when real life kicks in. Whatever you fell in love with, when real life kicks in, let me tell you something. Everybody that say I do don't know what they're doing. Write this down at the back of a book somewhere. Take it to the bank. Everybody, I'm not generalizing, I mean that. Everybody that say I do don't know what they are doing. So that will never be a good enough excuse to not engage or get married at some point, because the truth is that you will never know what you're doing anyway. You don't know what you don't know. Okay, but when you are aware that this is the case, at least you can move with some humility, right? When you enter that marriage, you knew that what you subscribe to, I know some surface stuff, but I don't know what I really subscribe to. I'm about to find out. This is going to be a journey, right? So if you got with the cool Anambra girl, unless you're telling me that you found out that, wow, the wife I married 7 years later is such a cool person. I feel that way about my wife right now. Like, this is the coolest human being ever. Okay, but the type of cool I'm talking about, there's no way I could have comprehended it before we're married. I thought she was cool, but I didn't know what I know today. Okay, so I still kind of sort of disagree. Yeah, I still kind of disagree. I think what was cool 7 years ago is different from today's cool. You see, when you marry a very, very cool partner, and you're finding out 8 years later, that cool you're talking about is not what you fell in love with. It's a completely, because it's been tested. It's been run through. Yeah, it's completely different. You know, no one that's saying I do knows what they're doing. Very, very important to pay attention to. Yeah, real worry picking. That's true. You will start having deep conversations with yourself. You will call yourself to family meeting. I know, family meeting terrible. A 40 plus woman has seen life and understands better why the 40 plus man might not be married, but that's not necessarily what men are attracted to. Remember, especially if he's never been married before, he doesn't know what he doesn't know. It's worse. He thinks he knows something. He's probably one of the greatest executives at his job. It's like everything else is figured out in life, but this romantic thing is a struggle. Yeah, so that carries a lot of pride, and that's not what he's attracted to. He's now thinking, I can get as young as I want. Yeah, I'm rounding up. Yeah. You know, so I don't know. This is going to be a long conversation, I see. You know, we have to maybe do part 2 tomorrow. I have to come back to part 2 tomorrow. What I want you to do is I want you to come prepared tomorrow and bring some more questions, because this is deeper. The ones with their head is correct and are mature will appreciate older ladies. No, attraction doesn't know correct head. Hey.
Different from bad blue, bulaba. Not be juju be that.
Attraction no know these things, oh. Okay, a typical man is not thinking that appreciate older ladies. If he's attracted to older ladies, correct, but you can't just separate attraction from just the fact that your older lady means nothing, literally. Okay, if he's able to appreciate it, he's not able to appreciate it until after, and the problem is that there's a gateway before you get to after. He won't be able to get through the gateway. Okay, yes, you're absolutely correct that there are men that are attracted to older ladies, but it's the attraction, not the fact that they are older ladies. Okay, because if that was the fact, and we can just say that, everybody will run with that, and in fact 27-year-old men will start getting with older ladies. Even when men are attracted to older ladies, it's usually because that older lady has some kind of sex appeal to her. Okay, something about her, right? She's an attractive lady, not necessarily from a physical standpoint. There's something about her that once you have a little conversation with her, you can, and usually they're divorcees. Particularly because their divorces can become an attractive thing. You haven't seen that part of the conversation, right? Yeah. Those of you that are divorcees here, sometimes you don't know the kind of power you have. Okay? I'm telling you. She said, that's my point. I feel like the never married 40 plus man will be looked at more suspiciously by most women than a 40 man that's divorced. But yes, I said that in the beginning. Divorce in real life, being divorced is only has power in terms of negative power if you believe in it. It's actually innately an attractive thing. When you see a bunch of men running around the internet saying they don't like divorcees, they're full of igbe, crap, okay? They're full of igbe. They don't know what they're talking about, okay? What they're talking about is that they resent all these ideologies that they've considered the reason why they were dumped in JSS2. They have deeper issues. Don't worry about it. But in general, on a general scale, if you've been picked by somebody before in the past, you are attractive. Okay. Now, also that's depending on how you carry yourself now today. If you believe that you are less than, the rest of the world will have no choice but to believe that with you, because they can smell it. It shows up in your confidence. Okay. Okay. So it's your belief system, just like juju. Your juju belief depends on your belief system. If you believe so much in juju and that's how you move, it has that much power on your life. It's just what it is, okay? Attraction operates at that type of level too. I fully agree, Ola. I said that to her. There's more to his singleness at 48. Yeah, we need to find that out. I expect you to disagree. It's only Anambra people that will understand. Maybe you're probably correct. You know, I was just having a debate with my wife upstairs, and there's something that I felt like she couldn't understand because she wasn't there. So I agree on that part. Maybe there's something deeper there, you know. But now you're trying to make Anambra people equivalent to cool people. That's a conversation for another day, because I do believe that the coolest people in Nigeria are people from Ondo, not Ekiti, Ondo State, okay? Not Ondo Town, Ondo State, but, you know, we'll leave that for another day. You know what I'm saying? So, not one answer fits all in this topic. So many variables. Exactly. This is why there's only one answer fits all that I'm going to give you today. Keep an open mind. If you're, it's going to take a little extra effort on your end once you're going past a certain age to keep an open mind, because naturally you're set in your ways, you're set in your thoughts. Your belief systems are your belief systems, and it becomes a little bit harder to the idea of keeping an open mind. It's work. It's easier said than done, because you're going to see some things and you're like, nah, I can't deal with that. And all I is saying, I'm not telling you to accept it. Have a conversation. Be open to the idea that maybe, just maybe, there's something I don't know, right? It's a very, very difficult thing to do, especially if you deem it a defense mechanisms to hold on to your ideologies, right? It's a difficult conversation too, I must say, because who am I? I don't want to come and tell people that are single at the age of 34 plus that something is wrong with them. I don't want to come off that way at all, right? Because I believe that if I tamper with your self-esteem, it's actually worse. It creates worse results. That's why I'm being careful, because there's something delicate there. Your self-esteem is much more delicate than everything else. I need you to maintain a level of self-confidence. I want you to understand that if you're a divorcee, that's actually a plus, especially if you know how to engage healing properly. That's actually a plus, okay? You're extremely valuable in this marketplace until you believe you're not. If you believe you're not, you're not. You are absolutely right. And the world will agree with you. And if you're buying into what a bunch of lame men are saying on the internet, or lame women, well, anyway, I think we can't argue. Divorced men are attractive in general. I don't think women argue with that. It's men that will argue with that, which is, again, the pride thing, you know. Even though if she drops those panties, he will be all up in there, simping like a mad person. But sometimes we have to have the conversation. She said, no, not of course. We are not the coolest. I'm not saying we are the coolest. Oh, well, I think Ondo people are the coolest. So I don't know what you're talking about. But again, conversation for another. Conversation for another day. Shout out to you, Chioma, my friend. Thank you so much for being here today. We will have to continue the rest of the conversation today. Let's keep this the masterclass. If you watch this, let's just keep this the topic. I had a lot more stuff to talk about, but I have to. There was no way, because you guys were so engaged. There's no way I could have kept it under 90 minutes, right? So I have to kind of end it here, because. But tomorrow we'll pick up the rest of the topic, okay? And I'll schedule that later on tonight. So make sure you set your notifications on. You have to set your notifications on. Not only that, you have to kind of join us on WhatsApp to ensure that you're getting notifications. And this is how you do that. You just go to lolanola.com/WhatsApp. Okay. On your way out, just don't forget, we have opportunities, coaching opportunities. You can check them all out at lolanola.com. Okay. You can download the books for free. All right. On your way out, do me a favor, hit that like button, share, and subscribe. All right. Hopefully you've been enlightened and educated. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Your love that I've been missing. I miss all your hugs, your touching and kissing. Make love on the floor, the couch in the kitchen. One love enough, we done enough.